Plenty of cars wear nameplates recycled from some glorious old model and applied to a not so glorious contemporary one. The Land Rover Defender could have fallen into that trap because the Defender name has long stood for charmingly rugged off-roaders that transcend class, but definitely hint that you might own a moderately sized castle or two. Thankfully, the Defender lives up to its name. It looks like it should have real off-road ability, and it does, along with a healthy dose of luxury. But if you think you want a Defender, first you have to figure out which one, because there are roughly as many different Defenders as there are members of the royal family. You can get the Defender as a 2-door or a 4-door. There are 3 different wheelbases, 4 engine options, and multiple trims and special editions. Prices can span from the mid-60,000s to more than 160,000. This is the 130 V8, meaning the longest wheelbase with a 493 horsepower supercharged V8. If you're curious about whether you're looking at a V8 Defender, it's the one with the quad exhaust pipes. There's such a vast difference in price between the 6-cylinder version and the 8-cylinder version of the Defender that you have to ask yourself, how much do I really need that 100 horsepower? But I gotta say, it does make some nice noises. And if you say, that sounds like the one they used to put in the Jaguar F-Type, you're right. In this tune, it's 493 horsepower. It sounds marvelous. It sounds like a posh Hellcat with a little bit of supercharger whine and some nice exhaust boom. And it moves this thing out just fine. I mean, the 110 wheelbase model we had touched 150 miles an hour on the test track, and it doesn't look like it would do that, but it does. Land Rover's been building V8 powered SUVs for a long time now, and they've got this pretty well figured out. Oh, it's my cousin Nigel. Speak of the devil. Base 110 models get a 4-cylinder, but a 395 horsepower 6-cylinder is the go-to engine for most Defenders. And if 493 horsepower isn't enough, the Defender Octa has a turbocharged V8 that makes 626 horsepower. Basically, the bottom of the Defender lineup is priced against the big mainstream SUVs like the Chevy Tahoe, while the V8 models are more like British G-Wagons. I'm not going to say that you need the V8, but it's awfully satisfying. And it makes nice noises. That's why they're still building it. I mean, it's not that much faster than the 6. The 3-liter 6 is 395 horsepower, a perfectly reasonable amount of power to have. Okay. Whew, that got my heart rate up a little bit. That's exciting. The Defender interior is treading a fine line between cheap and utilitarian, upscale. It's got a lot going on and somehow it works. You've got these exposed bolt heads. Those look cool and industrial. The design generally looks off-roady and rugged. The materials aren't particularly nice, most of them, but even that's okay in the context of a Defender because you should be able to, if not hose it out, at least wipe it off. It's got just enough luxury to work for the kind of people who would want to drive this, but it's still inherently kind of a rugged thing. We've got a fridge between the 2 seats up front. Look at that, a fridge! The Defender V8 has height adjustable air suspension, which is nice for a lot of reasons. First of all, it's a nice ride. It gives you the ability to raise the body up when you're off-roading or lower it down if you need to pick somebody up who's having a hard time climbing into this beast. And at the back, there's another set of buttons so you can lower just the back, which is great for if you're loading groceries or hooking up a trailer. If you need to sneak the hitch in under the trailer, you can just hit that button and get another couple inches down back there. The previous Defender was only sold in the US for a few years in the 90s, but worldwide it became an icon for off-road ability. This one follows suit with all-wheel drive, a dual-range transfer case, and plenty of ground clearance, especially with the optional air suspension. So on your 4x4 pages here, it will show you, if your rear differential and center differential are locked, and they'll lock and unlock as you're driving. The position of the wheels, it'll show you that. And this is a cool feature here, wade sensing. Doesn't have anything to do with wade bogs. It's actually about the depth of the water that you're driving through. So the maximum is almost 3 feet, and if we were in some water, it would show us how deep we are. And that's a pretty key thing to know, because you want to keep that under your air intake. All right, the second row is reasonably comfortable. And you can slide the seats fore and aft. There's cup holders, they're heated, you've got USB outlets. The third row is actually pretty comfortable for adults, partially because the Defender has this towering roof line. You've got your own third row sunroof back here. And as you can see, behind the third row, there's not much room there. So if you really want to haul things in a 130, you need to fold down at least one of these. And then the trick is you need to move the second row forward to fold down the third row. Everything's really crammed in here to the best of their ability, but you see why they offer this with no third row whatsoever. If people didn't need it, it's just more room back here for your stuff. The Defender has an increasingly rare feature, low range four-wheel drive. So if you want to go slow, off-road, crawl over some rocks, torque multiplication out on the sand, it's nice. While a Land Rover, especially a Defender, is most in its element off-road on the dirt, let's be realistic, most people are driving on the pavement 99% of the time with these things. And so it's important that it has nice manners, and it does, especially with the V8. This is a real SUV, not a car in an SUV costume, so it can ford almost 3 feet of water and tow more than 8,000 pounds. But with four-wheel independent suspension and plenty of power in the non-4-cylinder versions, it doesn't drive like a truck. The Defender is pretty unique, and even if it can have some literal rough edges, it's long on a commodity that's increasingly rare for SUVs: personality. And even if you don't plan to drive across a bog to go have a picnic on top of a mountain, it's fun to know you could.